pretty weak. I mean, he wasn't even allowed to appoint solid guys. He had that guy, General Flynn, ousted from underneath him by a hit job by the intelligence agencies barely before he was even able to serve a couple of weeks. So, yeah,
Wait,
you
how
have
is
a
it a
lot of
hit job when
undermining.
Flynn lied? He lied to the FBI. How is that a
The
hit job?
FBI lied.
It doesn't matter. You can't lie to a federal agent. You should.
But he didn't.
He did lie. He
You're
absolutely
acting.
lied. What do you mean?
No, you're acting like he lied.
He,
The FBI
wait, wait.
comes up with lying. He shouldn't have
No,
even talked to them.
he shouldn't have, but he did. And that excuse wouldn't work for any other U.S. citizen. If I said, "Oh fuck, I shouldn't talk to the FBI," but I did and I lied, then you're gonna get. Of course,
because we have a
trouble.
corrupt, lying FBI that's ousting whoever they want to oust.
Wait, but
Okay, hold on, just a second.
Why you don't talk to
you're
them.
making a statement that the FBI lied. Destiny made the statement that Flynn lied. So we just need to address one statement first, and then we'll go to whether or not the FBI lies. Okay? Did Flynn lie about anything?
I don't know.
wait, okay. My understanding is that Flynn was approached by two FBI agents, and they had a conversation with him about conversations that he had with any sort of Russian parties, and Flynn misrepresented or hid. He said explicitly he did not have any conversations with any Russian parties when that was not the case. And I thought that was why Flint fell. That's my understanding of that. Now, if you disagree with that, we can go look up news articles or Wikipedia or whatever. But that's my understanding of what happened.
I don't know or truly even care about the specifics of it.
Well, but
but
you
I
brought it
know that
up.
the FBI had changed in an email. They tricked him, and it was all
They
kinds of stuff.
tricked
And
him
they're
to
the ones
lie about whether or not he talked to somebody?
and they themselves lied in this whole situation. If you want to go look into it, you can. But we all know that the FBI are a bunch of liberals who don't even like Trump.
How was Comey, who was a Republican his entire life,
A rhino.
sir? How is he a rhino? Because he didn't like Trump?
He's a complete rhino. His wife and daughters went to the women's march. Are you kidding me?
How
And
does
he
he standing
hated
for
Trump
women's rights? There are a lot of Republicans.
That's not-
There were a lot of Republicans that hated Trump
for
initially.
abortion. That was primarily a Planned
Trump
Parenthood
Trump literally
march.
came in. One of the big stances that he had that people were upset about him was that he was against defunding Planned Parenthood and stuff in the early days when he was running in the primaries.
But that's
Trump has
irrelevant because
been a
these
liberal his whole life. He's gone to the Hillary Clinton fucking
I'm
Bill
fine
Clinton
with
wedding
that.
and everything.
I know.
Well, then how do you
People-
think that Trump isn't a
Men
rhino?
repent. Because Trump was for what's right. Are you laughing?
No, it's just.
He was.
Sorry. Go
Are
ahead.
you
Well-
kidding me? You really think that Comey was this strong Republican?
I
He's
think
a pathetic
Missy
person.
got ejected from the call somehow. I don't know how. Sorry, she was like writing on a board.
Oh, I see. There you go. Sorry about that. I couldn't see that.
It was
Wait,
the
what?
establishment against Trump. The Republicans. You make a good point. The Republicans were not for Trump or for America.
Okay, so every single
They've
person
done
is
nothing
against
but
Trump.
given.
Do you ever
They've done
think at
nothing
one
but given
point?
in to the Democrat Party. You'll
So-
notice that the Republicans are even supporting the gay stuff now.
Okay, sure. And they're going to be supporting Hispanics and stuff too, because as Missy rightfully pointed out, there are a lot of conservative voters that can be found among communities of color. Republicans are just taking way too long to realize it, but they're starting to realize it, right? It's not surprising that people will change their political positions as like the voter base changes, right? That's what political parties are supposed to do. We want to see that happen, right?
More and more corrupt.
Okay, corrupt because you disagree with it.
No, I mean it's reality. Just
Because you say
don't,
so.
just because you don't believe in right and wrong, doesn't make it right. Make it
Well, but your
irrelevant.
definition of right and wrong is not everybody's going to agree with it, right? That's how our country
All right, so
works.
Right, but there is
Just to be
there
sure,
is
really
an
quickly-
objective right and wrong.
So there is an objective truth now. Okay, that's what I was.
I'm
getting
not
at
the one who
earlier,
ever
but-
said that there wasn't.
Okay, that's cool. So just to be clear, you did say earlier that yes, Trump, that the election being stolen did have something to do with January 6th. Would you say that Trump continued that accusation? Would you say that Trump was one of the major voices that was levying that accusation? Would you say that?
Yeah, he was the voice of the people, and they silenced him because he was the
Okay.
voice of the people.
So just to be clear, so Trump, as the voice of the people, did say that the election was stolen.
Right, he was not the Pied Piper like Destiny is trying to make him sound like.
What would it take you to convince you that Trump was wrong about something?
Well, how could these people be so
he's proven
stupid
wrong.
and yet they're so intelligent, like that they just plan
When
this
he's,
around?
when
I
he's
don't know.
proven wrong.
I just don't.
Well, proven wrong about
I
what?
think it's silly to be calling this what he claims about the election the big lie. Do you agree with that characterization? Is the big lie?
Yes, absolutely.
Come on. Now you're trolling.
How am I
Well,
trolling?
hey, but wait, you don't know whether you believe it or not either, right? Because you're completely
Yeah,
undecided on whether
exactly.
or
So
not
how
this
can
has
you call it
happened.
a lie if you don't
Hold
know?
on.
Well, we can call
So
it a lie because
you're
they tried
completely
3 cases in court. None of the cases they tried were anywhere near as strong as what Giuliani misrepresented them to be on the media. And when they tried all 3 of these cases in court, they lost. And when all of the other independent cases were tried in court, so ones over individual videos or individual affidavits, all of those were seen to be misrepresented as well. So it seems to be that it was a big lie. Or at the very least,
No,
saying that you
because
know the election is fake is a big lie.
the point of fraud is to get away with it. And
That's not
we
that's
already
not an
covered
answer.
this.
That means that any fraud
Yes,
I
it
can
is.
say, okay, I'm sorry, but your mom and dad aren't who you think they are. You actually have different parents. Did you know that?
Nice. Cute.
Okay, but if you tell me that you don't think that's true, then I'm just going to tell you, well, the whole point of it is to lie to you about it. So of course you don't think it's true. You understand how now you're in an inescapable loop where you can never prove anything to be true.
No,
right?
but you're pretending that we have this trustworthy country, and we all know that we don't.
We don't. It's not that we have a trustworthy country. It's that you have a fundamental misunderstanding how our country works. It's not like every single person all over the country is communicating with each other to coordinate these massive conspiracies.
It's not a conspiracy. It's a corrupt culture.
That's
Look,
no.
you saw that-
You think that? So you think that all these federal judges that even Trump himself appointed are in on it?
No, I'm talking about even before even doing the election. Once you accept these ballots, you have no way of proving or disproving in court. You have to win in the streets before the election even starts, because you have like Detroit and Atlanta and these black areas where they just let the blacks do whatever they want with the election, and then
Wait,
they
like,
cry
what do you mean by
racism
let
when
them? What do
you
you
try
mean let them do what
and
they
then you
want?
cry
You mean like
racism
vote?
when you try to say, hold on, wait a minute, what's going on? You saw that happening.
Wait, do you think that black people shouldn't be allowed to vote? Or I don't understand what your point is here.
They shouldn't be allowed to cheat, definitely.
How do you? But we haven't
for starters,
seen.
that would be
Nobody
a nice
was able
thing.
to prove any cheating. This is the
No one
problem.
was able to
any
prove
cheating
exactly
happened?
because they didn't enforce any election integrity measures.
Okay, so Hake, do you believe cheating happened?
You have to assume, yes, you have to assume that cheating happened if you leave it open to cheating.
Okay,
There's,
so
there's always
so
going to be a little bit of
Do you believe that cheating didn't happen?
on both sides. Let's just
I would
expect
s-
that.
I would say I don't.
Who's going to agree?
I would say that if there was any cheating, it was such a small scale and so minuscule in factor that it probably wouldn't have been enough to have stolen the election.
So all the crime and
Like that,
lies
like that
and
woman in Texas.
open media deception that happens in the country, but the election has just very minuscule corruption.
Okay, but Hake,
Maybe.
this is where I
You
think
maybe.
this is
I don't know.
Hake, if we're trying to have honest conversations, I think
Yeah.
this is where the difficulty comes in, right? It's because I expect you to act.
Yo, I got a huge fucking spider bite on my hand, but I haven't seen any fucking spider. What the fuck?
Obvious. I think to anybody listening to this conversation, and based off of just some of the other things like you've like over your show over the amount of time that it's been on, that you clearly think that the election was stolen. I don't understand
Now
why
you're
you're
just
being dishonest
no,
about that.
no. You're just making an assumption, because
Okay,
I
I'm
say
sorry.
I've plainly
Maybe it wasn't
said
stolen.
I don't know.
I heard what you said. But you do believe that there was cheating within the election. Do you think that the cheating was enough, or was it of a significant number enough to change the results?
I don't know, but I know that in general the integrity of the country has been undermined. That maybe they don't have to cheat that much because the people are such idiots.
Okay, and Trump
And
was
the
claiming that.
and the mainstream media has been completely dishonest and gotten away with it in so many different ways.
Okay, are these views that you just expressed now very different than the things that Trump was claiming originally?
I don't know. I know that he was talking about fraud and stuff like that. I don't know what he meant exactly.
Do you trust the vaccines now that Trump has said that he's had them and he's had his booster and everything?
I don't trust them because I don't know the long-term effects of them, and I
So
don't
why
know
don't you
that
trust
I
Trump?
need to be.
Why is Trump saying that they work and they're effective and he's taken all 3?
Because he's a boomer. He should be taking it. He's not healthy. I mean, he's not like fit.
But he already had the coronavirus and he survived it just fine. He said that the doctor said that he was one of the healthiest they'd ever seen go through it. Do you think he lied
know,
about
but
that?
No, I believe him, but that's him. That's his business to take it.
Wait, hold on,
I'm not
wait. How
necessarily-
do you believe him when he says that his body was healthy and he got through it? But now you're saying, well, he's not healthy. He needs to have the vaccine. Which is
No, I'm saying that. Look, but when I see not healthy, I mean he's a little overweight. He's a little over 65, and so he probably should be taking steps to protect himself. And if he's a boomer and he's his own man and wants to take the vaccine, yeah, go ahead.
Would you say that most people that are over 65 and overweight should probably be taking the vaccine then?
that's definitely up to them.
I'm not asking if it's up to them. I'm asking what you think should happen. Don't weasel out. That's a non-answer, right?
I have to weasel out because I can't be responsible for making a recommendation like that.
But you just made a recommendation for Trump. You said, yeah, he probably should get it. He's old, he's fat, you don't want anything about. He's over 65, right? So do you think that most people that are over 65 should probably get it? They don't have to. They're not taking your medical advice. It's just a question.
Man, it's a hard question to answer though.
It's a pretty simple question, I think. I would recommend most people under the age of like 15 never drink. I would recommend most people don't do a lot of hard drugs. Like, these are pretty easy recommendations, I think.
Leave me alone. I decline to answer.
Okay,
that's fair.
Well, it's not fair. It's a weasel, but go ahead.
I'll be a weasel on that.
Okay.
Because think about it. I mean, anyway, yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
I was gonna say something irrelevant.
The thing was, I didn't bring you in the panel to discuss vaccines, so you don't have to answer that question. It is a weasel, but I mean, obviously, you have a choice. Whatever you decide.
Well, part of it is I don't really have the freedom of speech to say.
You can say whatever you want right now. Don't try to hide behind freedom of speech things. You absolutely can say whatever you want right now. Okay, that's not true.
Again, you are absolutely on my platform.
What I say on other platforms affects how I get.
You're on my platform. If you say anything, the channel that will be immediately affected and directly affected would be mine. So it's totally fine if you were to say that. Whatever you feel comfortable saying, you can say. You're having no restriction on my end, if that's what you're trying to say.
No, I'm not trying to say that I'm protecting your channel. But I mean, I wouldn't try to compromise your channel. But stuff that people say and do on other platforms or even off platform in real life, that affects them. Not that I'm really concerned about it. I'm playing it up a bit, but
quite a bit. That's what we're talking about. That's why we're asking for honesty. But it's cool.
I don't know why you would even entertain any part of the conversation. So the actual answer is that you wouldn't recommend it, because if you would recommend if you would recommend it, you wouldn't be given this answer. You'd say, yeah, I would recommend it. But the fact that you wouldn't means you got to say that you can't say this, so you might be being silent. So why engage in the conversation at all?
No, because listen to this. On the right, there's a political correctness, and the political correctness on the right is you don't recommend the vax among many people.
Okay. Missy, I need you to be honest. I know that you've been honest.
Y'all got me so stressed out. I'm smoking. Okay.
Okay.
Like,
well, we're not recommending that on the Fanatic show. Well, okay, Missy, can you be honest?
I don't want to see y'all fight.
Okay, I got you. It's fine. Well, can you be honest, please? Do you believe that the election was? Because I know earlier you made the statement. You just said that like a lot of elections are stolen, and there's a lot of fraud and corruption within our elections. Do you believe? Got you. Do you believe that Democrats acted in concert in order to change the election so that Biden could win?
No, because you can't call someone stupid and then assume that they are really smart. Like, it's either one or the other. Like, Hake, I totally respect your opinion, but like these people that are so like that you want to put down, like, and put in a box and like say all these things about, like, you called them idiots. Like, these idiots, how are these idiots able to like take an election? And at the same time, Destiny, same with you, darling, like you're like, how do you get this information? How do you get that information? But at the same time, like, you want to argue that like nobody knows what the hell they're doing. So either they know what they're doing or they don't know what they're doing. Either the insurrectionists knew what they were doing, right? Or the media is like crazy, or you can't have it both ways. Either the sheeple, the NPCs that are running around, either they're stupid or they're not. I don't think anyone is capable of achieving that kind of mass United States across the board election fraud. I think they're able to do it in Florida with Gore and Bush in 2000 with the hanging chads and all. That was a thing. I believe they were able to do it then. I believe they were able to cheat Bernie Sanders out of his rightful right to run against Trump and lose. I think that they cheated him out of that too, because they ran Biden because they knew he would win. Like, I think that there is definitely some, sorry honey, you can mute this out, some fuckery afoot on both sides. At the end of the day,
so Missy, so if you don't think that there was enough fraud such that it stole the election and changed Biden into a winner over that, okay, then if you don't believe that, so then you would say that the entire reason for the Capitol riot, considering that Trump did make that claim rather frequently, so then would you say that the Capitol riot was based on misinformation?
I absolutely believe that everyone that was there had no idea what was going on. I know because I talked to people that were there and they had no idea what was going on. Like, they literally did not know. I think there were other people maybe one of our lovely alphabet organizations, who knows which one, but there were other people like pushing them that direction, and like like anything else, it's like you ever say like Boston wins the World Series and everyone goes crazy, right? And they start turning over cars and all. I think the same thing, the mob mentality. People are great. People in a large group of people, not great people. You see bad things happen, especially when there's something to be upset about or something they're turning around. And we see that with sports. Like, no one ever said, like, the Boston Red Sox are trying to overthrow the government. No, we're like, those guys are out of control because there's too many people. And they all had this, like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. We're going to overthrow these cars. You see that. And that's human mentality. We've done that forever as humans. That is our human nature. I don't think it's as crazy. I don't think it's the new Pearl Harbor. I don't.
Okay, but
at the same time, though, I don't think it's the right thing.
That there were individuals
to do. I don't think it was right.
Sure. Do you believe that there were individuals who went there expressly with the intent of overtaking the Capitol?
Absolutely.
Okay, but you do.
I don't think they were trying to overtake the Capitol. I don't think they did that. These are not. Look.
So you think some of the people? Because I mean, there was, for example, there was a guy that they interrogated, the one who had tased the officer. I remember him. They had said they had literally went there with tasers. Like they had traveled like from a very far distance with tasers. They had a group of them. They did have intentions for violence to be happening, specifically at the Capitol on that night. Do you believe that he's the hyper minority of people that were going to be there?
Yep.
I think that a large majority of these people, which the Capitol.
How late is this plan on going, guys? Does anybody know? Does this end in 30 minutes or?
And when give opportunity and hyping up and being in a little echo chamber, right? The people that agree with them, I think that move forward. I don't think it was organized ahead of time. I don't think these are the best and brightest. Because anybody, I mean, I was told by people that I know that are Democrats, like not to go to the Capitol that weekend. I think anybody with their ear to the ground knew, don't go to the Capitol this weekend. It's not like it's organized, but it's probably a bad idea. It's not going to turn out well. Because what they were upset about, again, was this voter fraud thing. And at this point, there was too little information to like judge on either side. I don't believe in going, this is my hard line, until I've got a good long record of documentation and history to back up what I have to say. So that's the problem, is it was too short of a period of time. The election just happened in November. Now it's January, and the people were upset. They were upset about the fact they lost the election, not the fact the election was cheated. Let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. They were upset.
For some people,
they lost the election.
I would make the statement that obviously some people would be upset that they lost, but I do believe that a lot of people were upset in that scenario because they felt like the election was stolen. This wasn't, and I agree with Hake earlier, and when Hake was making the statement, that it wasn't that only Trump that made the statement that the election was stolen. This was all across like the right-leaning media, right? So there were plenty of actors who were making these sorts of statements, and so I'm saying we, but a lot of people were expecting something to happen on January 6th. QAnon, they had been claiming that the election would be overturned and that the final day for it to be overturned was going to be on January 6th. There were so many different things where people had these belief systems. But Hake, so
but do you
think that was incitement on Trump's part?
Well, no, the question I was going to ask you really quick was, do you feel that with them making the statements that this thing was going to happen, do you believe that, that the Democrats and the left-leaning media warning people to stay away from January 6th, do you believe that that's indicative of the idea that there was violence that was going to be there?
Because you're saying before January 6th, the mainstream media was saying, hey, there's going to be some bad stuff happening. Down. I was about to say shenanigans, but bad stuff happening. No, that's told. I
was told.
Cernovich himself said.
Wait 1 second, Missy. Let him answer, please.
Cernovich himself warned people not to fall for the trap, and because it was a clear setup. So.
Set up by who?
I don't know.
I was told there were going to be Antifa people that were going to just start beating people up. And that being a tiny person, I'm like 5 foot. I'm not even 5'2". Like I can't even change my light bulbs. It's a problem. I'm vertically challenged, and I was told like, don't go. That's not you. You don't know what kind of violence is going to erupt. I was told ahead of time about the violence.
I don't know if it was. Yeah, I don't know if it's corruption or incompetence or both. I mean, you kind of have to be corrupt to be incompetent. on the part of the people who
Oh,
didn't
like,
bring enough
give and
security.
take.
I need to get the fuck out of here. I don't know what to do.
Because there was
on
not
both
enough
sides.
security.
Everyone,
Destiny,
everyone's responsible for that.
the same questions I asked them. Do you feel like, obviously, like the Trump claims that was? I know that you felt that was like that had a lot to do with the Capitol riot, and I think you were the first person to make the statement earlier in this conversation that it had to do with misinformation.
Yeah, that's what I think can happen. I don't believe that. I don't know what you presented earlier in terms of, or I don't know what you think my view is. I don't think it was organized. I don't think it was like a mass organized riot or anything. I think it just kind of like evolved and happened pretty organically. But I think a lot of the people there were kind of fed by the idea that there was like mass fraud and everything going on, and that Pence and the system had failed, and people were trying to steal the election and stuff. I think that was all directly from Trump. Yeah.
Sure. That wasn't my claim. I was just citing Tucker Carlson under the
Yeah,
assumption that Hake had watched Tucker Carlson, but apparently he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, okay. I mean,
Yeah,
I guess
there's no quotes on that one.
sure. So I guess at the end, officers died, right? I mean, weren't there 5
So
deaths?
really, no. Let's just say no.
No officers
how many-
died that day.
There's a poetic license on that one.
One
officers
person
maybe from the stress.
From the middle.
died. One person died from this event, and it was the woman that was shot when she was trying to breach the
Ashley
hallway
Babbitt.
downstairs. Yeah.
Her name is Ashley
okay.
Babbitt.
So only one person died. So then there weren't any mass casualties. I wasn't sure about that.
There were 5 who died that day, I think. Some people had, maybe amidst all the commotion, or I don't know, the stress that was going on, there were some people who were accused of having overdosed or having a stroke or a heart attack or something like that. So people outside the event died not necessarily from violence. And then Officer Sicknick, maybe from the stress, he had a stroke, and he died in his early 40s the next day. And then a few officers committed suicide over the later days and weeks.
Hey,
Oh,
more people
was
died
there-
at the Astro
Which
World.
we don't know what that's related
Wait,
to at all.
wasn't there a woman that died who was trampled on?
That seemed to be the
Yeah.
case from the videos, but no, she probably had an amphetamine overdose, is what the coroner ruled.
No, these are old people. I don't know what y'all expect. These are old people. This is the most exciting thing
That
that's
woman
ever
wasn't
happened to
that
them.
old, I don't think.
Okay, that's cool. I was unaware of that as well.
No.
I mean, I guess that's really the sum of it. I guess at the end of the day, I guess I'm really glad that everybody got to express, both sides of their opinions. I really do. I guess a part of me does feel like, I don't know, Hake. I feel like there is.
Have you seen the footage of those people just kind of just not doing anything, wandering around in the Capitol building, like just
My friend Mitch.
single file, practically in between the stanchions and the ropes and the aisles, and just.
Hey,
I
my
saw
friend-
this moshing. I did see violence, but I also saw people like that who were just wandering around in there. And I heard that there's like
My friend Mitch
1,400.
was let in by a cop.
Yeah.
The cop opened the door and smelled at him.
Okay,
So
to be
what
clear,
is-
the reason why. So, fuck, never mind. I don't want to do this. Okay, sorry. What were we saying?
No, go ahead. Go ahead and say
I
it,
don't
Destiny.
want.
Oh, my Lord.
When people say that like somebody was let in, okay, dealing with riots has to be done in a particular manner. Okay, you can't like RoboCop isn't going to show up and get like 1,000 people to disperse. So some people are saying this
There
narrative
was
like.
no cop there. That's
So some people are saying this thing is like, oh, well, these cops just let them in. The reason why they did was because the cops were trying to direct the traffic to certain areas so that lawmakers could go through other areas.
yeah,
and get
on
away.
video.
That's fine, and I'm telling you,
So-
I'm explaining what's happening on video. It's not that some people try to present this narrative, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but I've heard this presented that like, oh, well, police officers let them in, and they just, that's the whole reason why they were even able to get there. No, people were trying to break in the doors, people were trying to get in, and officers eventually let people into certain parts of the building because there's an easier way to direct the riot than it was to try to stop them at certain points because the police officers didn't have the necessary manpower to do it. That's why they were frantically calling for backup. That's why they eventually had to shoot and kill that one woman who was trying to crawl through the window. That's why they had to wait for riot police to show up with shields, and they ended up fighting, but there was not enough officers there in the Capitol initially to fight off that many people. So that's why some of them were let in. It wasn't because they were allowed to be there. It was because if they weren't let in those areas, then the other areas that were broken into would have caused like potentially far more harm to the country because lawmakers might have been in danger.
You think they had to shoot and kill Ashley
I
Babbitt
love
like
my
that?
friend.
Absolutely, 100%.
He's not right.
If that was a BLM activist crawling in through a police station, you'd probably be celebrating that person getting shot by the police. Absolutely.
No, I mean if that were how we were dealing with Black Lives Matter
I would never
rioters, then I would support
celebrate
it.
that.
if it was expected that rioters will be shot, then I would support the shooting of Ashley Babbitt. Yes, you are right. But that's not how they.
There have been people that have died during BLM riots, and there have been arrests made, and I think 5 digits now for BLM riots. Ashley Babbitt was trying to break into an area where there were maybe even Secret Service on the other side pointing guns at her. I don't know what she expected.
For it.
Yeah,
it was one guy hiding in the side, and he was an irresponsible black cop, by the way, a proven prior. He left his Glock in the bathroom in 2019 and said, "Oh, hold on.
Hey, I'm giving you life advice, okay? If you see a Secret Service guy pointing a gun at you, telling you not to go somewhere,
there's no evidence that she saw him.
They were standing in the hallway holding guns, saying, "Get back, get back, get back."
That's not how it.
So you think he peeked over in Call of Duty 360?
No, no one was there. We don't know unless you were there. You don't know. So let's stop pretending like we were there.
You really think that she was that brave that she would jump in through a window with cops pointing at guns at her?
Mobs make you do pretty dumb things. There were people pushing in the building.
I know, it was dumb of her to do that. She in that sense she brought it on herself. But the guy was on the other side, kind of like practically hiding.
No,
I think it might have been kind of cowardly on his part.
They're differing accounts.
Did you watch the video?
I don't remember. I don't think you can see down the hallway where the cops are, but I think you can hear them saying "get back" in the video. But
yeah, that's fine. I'm for her not doing that. But I'm saying that the guy who shot her, he was right on the other side of the door, and he was pointing the gun from like the other side of where the windows are. Like, I don't know that she saw him.
Mate, you're active duty military. You have no excuse. You're dead wrong here. As somebody with 2 parents that were in the Air Force,
I'm not making her any excuse for her.
You are absolutely saying that. Well, she didn't know there was bullshit. No. Hold on. She is an armed forces member of the United States of America, active duty.
Woman.
You doesn't fucking matter if she's a woman or not. She's in the military more than you've ever served. It sounds like it. Have you ever been in the military before?
No.
Then shut the fuck up. Then you have no idea. You don't know what the fuck. Wait, no, you have no idea what you're talking about. So don't demean her service.
I don't have to know what I'm talking about.
No, don't demean her service. Wait, no, shut the fuck up, fanatic. Don't demean her service if you haven't served. That's bullshit. That's insane. Okay? That's insane. That's fine. But you can't attack a veteran or you can't attack an active service member when you haven't served. That's insane to me.
Okay,
I can.
That's fine. Okay, hold on.
But I'm saying that if you are an active service member,
wait. We're gonna dial it down just a little bit. Hold on. All I'm saying is, if the conversation is getting to a point where we can't be civil anymore, then it's probably better to end the conversation.
No, we're being civil.
You weren't being civil. So then the goal is
me.
So I'm saying the exchange was not civil. Clearly.
It was civil. We're just
okay. Well, I tend to disagree. So then let's try to be extra civil then if we can, right? Let's try to do that. So in any case, I think there was some video evidence that kind of like showed her like climbing through the window. It seemed like it was able to be audible, like that they were telling her not to come through the window.
I don't know that guy Mike Bird, that guy. I don't know about that. I'm just saying that she was wrong, but I'm not convinced that he was right.
Okay, that's sure. Maybe you're not convinced that he was right. I mean, it's another one of those things that you don't know. But all I'm saying is, was it audible? Was it audible in the video?
I have no idea.
It's hilarious that you could think that somebody in the military would think that charging into a Capitol building where everything is very like you would know this. I'm sorry. But
I never said any support for her doing anything that she did. I said in that sense she brought it on herself. You heard me? Come on.
Then why do you think he shouldn't have stopped? Do you think should he have let her in and then everyone else starts piling in? Weren't there literally lawmakers like on the other side of this exchange? Like what? Like how far do you let them go?
I'm just saying. I don't know that he had to shoot her.
Okay. Well, the door wasn't stopping her, so.
Yeah, I know. I understand. And I would love for us to reestablish the culture of force against rioters.
What?
May I speak, please?
I don't want to go ahead, Frantic.
Especially left-wing rioters. Because everybody knows that the left is more violent.
I got you. Hey, hold on. Let Missy respond, please.
Okay.
Oh, shit. I have to leave in like 3 minutes, Fanatic.
Before this ends. Good. Great. That's perfect timing.
I know.
How
you
about
go ahead.
End this discussion trying to find something we agree on rather than something we all disagree on. Is there something we can all agree on? Because I don't want to see mommy and daddy fight. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this conversation. This is the way that people talk to each other. We're better than that. You're smart. Everyone here is intelligent, and we're all capable of like figuring a way out of this. So find something we all agree on. I think we can all agree on the fact that Ashley Babbitt shouldn't have died no matter what happened. Can we agree on that?
Nope.
I don't think I can agree on that. I'm sorry.
Can we all agree that Joe Biden is a goddamn American hero, a true patriot?
I don't think there's going to be very much
Oh,
agreement.
looks like we not too much agreement here. So,
But so listen. At the end of the day, as I was saying earlier,
She
before we
shouldn't have
kinda
done
got
what she
wrapped
did,
back
and I
into
don't
it.
think
All
that.
right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Go
I
ahead.
got you. Like, so as I was gonna say before we got kind of wrapped back into the conversation, I do believe that like it's really good that obviously both people spoke for both sides. For the most part, it was civil until the very end there. At the end of the day, I really do think that I think that the evidence is pretty clear that that the idea that the election was stolen was what sort of galvanized the people. And I think that we probably do need to find some sort of way of getting better access towards more information so as to make sure that people have a better understanding of the world that we live in so that we won't be so surprised and shocked when we see other people interacting in specific ways. For instance, I'm pretty sure there are plenty of left-leaning people who didn't believe that the election was stolen, who were completely like flabbergasted in seeing what was happening on January 6th. But then I think there are plenty of right-leaning people who are bewildered at how the left didn't see that the election was stolen, right? Like, so the thing is, there has to be some sort of way for us to have these kind of conversations, for us to try to establish truth, fact, reality, and so on and so forth, so that we can all be, as Americans, like moving towards a better goal. And I hope that these kind of conversations can be like the conduit for that sort of growth, for that sort of movement. But it does require civility, it does require patience, and I can understand how Destiny being 2-on-1 here might have worn on some of his patience in these scenarios.
Shoot,
And but
okay,
what I
I'm
will
fine.
say, okay, that's
I'm
good.
on
What I
his side
will
about a lot of
say,
stuff too.
Yeah, true.
okay, that's true. You were a lot more nuanced, and I appreciate that. I appreciate your take too, Hake. Hold on.
Fanatic.
Thank you.
I appreciate your take too, Hake. Even if I disagree with you on a lot of things, I do appreciate your willingness to be part of the conversation. Destiny, I appreciate you as usual. We're going to probably get onto some more racial topics, not today, obviously, but next week on the Fanatic Show. We're going to get into some more racial topics, and of course, those things are always a joy. I don't know how you make those things civil, but we're going to try our darndest. I appreciate you guys all for being part of the panel. If anyone has any like super like short closing statements that they'd like to make, please go ahead.
Yes. Uh, the important thing is the fact that both of you, all of us, are so passionate about that, about our country, about what happened, about what to believe, like what not. The fact that we're so passionate about it means that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It means that there's somewhere down the road that we can figure this out because we all care so much. And when you love something like we love this country, we'll figure out a way to make it work. Like divorced parents, we're gonna figure out a way to make this all work.
Wow, that's amazing.
In the
Well
interest of
said.
the
I
child.
agree, 100%.
And I
appreciate that.
love it. It's a great thing.
Hey, do you have any last words?
Yeah, I don't know if it's strictly information, man. You're a Christian, right? I think that it's not for a lack of information so much. There is a lack of information and there's a lot of lies that get out there. But I don't think that I haven't heard this specifically. I don't think blaming Trump, which some people did, the Senate did, or the House or whatever, for quote unquote incitement is accurate, because you can have an opinion about the election and still behave yourself. And so saying that you have this political view or that political view or this opinion or that opinion is not in itself a dangerous opinion. I think that we need to return to like actual love and actual character and actual honesty. There's a culture of dishonesty. And so I don't think that it's strictly information. I think it's spiritual.
Okay.
I
love you all very much.
Thank you guys so much for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you guys.
And to my audience, thank you guys for being on another episode.
Jesus. Wow, hello?
Hello.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't know I had a panel tonight, so it took longer than I thought it would. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. Are you going to be on video or just talking?
No, you're okay. Okay, talk to the box for once in your fucking life. Don't be so goddamn spoiled, okay?
Okay. Oh, shit. You were muted. Sorry. Now everybody can hear you.
Oh, okay. How do you feel like your conversation went?
It was okay. It was entertaining, I think.
Okay.
I wish it had been warmer.
Warmer. Okay. So I'm gonna ramble for a second. What?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
The thing where I want people to trust me, they don't.
Of course, yeah. So
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I think I'm an interesting person, and why I think you're an interesting person to talk to, is because we're able to slip in and out of a lot of different roles during a conversation. Sometimes those roles are going to be almost like submissive or subservient, where I'm listening to you in a manner where I kind of have to trust what you're saying, and it's almost kind of quasi-condescending, not necessarily, but it feels that way, maybe to an outsider. But I don't mind doing that because I understand the transaction, I understand the conversation. It doesn't bother me, right? So there might be a time where you're having me chase down a hypothetical, or you're talking to me in such a way that, like, maybe to another person this would be like, what the fuck, or whatever. But like, I'm okay. I'll go there in the conversation. I don't mind, right? I think it's important to recognize when those types of conversational exchanges are happening, because very few people will respond to those in a positive light. So when I watched your conversation with Lauren, there was a marked change in tone when something happened where, first of all, you have to understand, anytime you accuse somebody of lying or being bad faith, they're going to take that as a challenge, and it no longer becomes a conversation where the two of you are talking. I'm talking with my hands, and you can't see me. I'm a fucking idiot. Where the two of you are talking. Jesus Christ. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on. Okay. It's not going to be a conversation where the two of you are talking about one topic. It's going to be a conversation where the two of you are now adversarially fighting with one another. And there was a point in the conversation with Lauren where it had clearly taken on the feeling of you guys weren't having a dispassionate or detached conversation about events in Lauren's life, but rather she got the impression that she was on the defense and you were attacking her. Yeah. So when you slipped into that mode where it's like, okay, well, what do you think about that or that or that? Rather than it seemed like, okay, well, this is like an interesting line of thought that we can both kind of play it on our heads. It was more like, this guy is condescending as fuck to me. He's trying to trap me in something. And instead of answering or engaging with any of your questions, she was actually playing defense in front of a jury, right? So like in a court...
This makes most of us look terrible.
Well, I don't care about looking terrible. I don't think you care about looking terrible. It's more about getting a good conversation, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
when I say looking terrible, I just mean it looks like we're not talking about anything.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's hard to tell this in the middle. I'm giving you all this advice now, but I totally fuck this up when I talk. It's really hard to see it happening live. It's very, very hard to see it. Right. But at some point, it's good to notice in a conversation. Sometimes when I'm talking to people, I'll be like, wait, let's back up and what are we talking about right now? Let's just both figure that out. Because at some point, there's a style of conversation where you and I might ask you a question about like why did you... Okay, I might ask somebody a question about like, why were you on a boat trying to stop them from getting migrants? And in a conversation where you're both honestly engaging with it, it's like, I wanted to stop that boat. And even if some died, and it's horrible, but yeah, you know what? I did want to stop that boat. I felt strongly about it at the time. That's a way to engage with the topic that's detached from both of you. But when it feels like one person is being attacked, that's not the style of conversation. Instead, the style of conversation is I'm in front of a jury. So now I don't care about the facts of the matter. Instead, what I want to give is a justification for why I did it. So when you ask me, were you trying to stop a boat getting migrants? Okay, well, hold on. You need to understand the broader... Okay, first of all, in Australian maritime laws, there are these situations that are right. Now, instead of trying to engage with the material, I need to defend my character. Because it's no longer... Yeah, go ahead.
I think what I want to be able to do, and I think what makes this really complicated, is I started out with like, I am horrified by this story.
Yeah.
And
which sounds aggressive. Do you understand that?
It sounds aggressive, right? Exactly. And I want to find a way to make that just okay. Like, it's okay that I'm horrified by this story, and you don't have to convince me not to be. And that doesn't mean that every question I ask you about it is an attack where you need to defend yourself. And so I think talking about cuties, I was trying to do the same thing and basically be like, you are going to be horrified by what I say, and that's okay. We can just be horrified by each other. We're not going to agree. And if we insist that we have to agree, it's going to end up in this super
bullshit
circular,
virtue signaling. Like, I understand. I agree with you.
Where you're yelling at me about porn and how just all this shit that is just.
Yeah, there was. Do you know anything about cats?
The animal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so people like me, people like Lauren, unironically, you could probably argue that we have like almost a trauma response to certain types of interviews because so many people are so horny to trap us into a bad line of questioning.
I have experienced this with you
Sure.
as well
Sure.
at times.
Will you feel like I did it to you, or you feel like you were doing it to me, or you feel like I thought you were doing it to me?
I have worried that you think I'm doing it to you.
Oh, sure, okay. I don't think you are. Yeah. But the way that I would say it is, and this sounds even more condescending than how you were acting, but I would say sometimes you need to treat...
I meant the first time we talked.
Yeah, sure. You need to treat people like cats a little bit. What you're trying to do is, if I have a cat that I know and I love and I trust, I can run right up to that cat. I can give it a big hug, and I can play like really crazy games with it, and the cat will be excited to play along. But if I see a cat on the street, I have to do a lot to earn that cat's trust before it's going to play with me and not feel like I'm going to try to kill it. And I think what you're doing when you approach some people in conversations, especially people like Lauren, who have been attacked a lot of them. You're asking for you want to rub her belly right off the bat. You wanted to roll over and rub her belly, a stray cat, with just immediately, and that is totally impossible for 99% of people to do. It's just not going to happen, right?
But do you think that if I could get a reputation as a cat person, that could make it easier?
Absolutely. So, do you know who Dr. K is on Twitch? I know you tweeted at him.
I did.
He might be able to do that, but even him, he would probably run into some barriers where she would feel like, hold on, I need to defend my character because it's still a public conversation happening in front of an audience. But you do not have that reputation
I don't have
yet.
the reputation.
Yeah,
no.
Not even close.
Well, I have an opposite reputation that could still have the same effect of like. That's why I start out with I'm like pedos versus Nazis, baby. Like what am I gonna say to you?
Yeah, but the problem is the way that you cast yourself there is.
Yeah.
You're okay with people calling you a pedophile because, hey, maybe there's an ounce of truth there, right? You don't care if you're identified as that. But the people that you talk to desperately care about how they're characterized, such that even if
they don't want to say that. They also don't want to be characterized as caring about how they're characterized.
Yeah. And you also have to be careful because, so somebody like Lauren who's done actions, if I could rank them from 1 to 10 in their badness, I'd say that she's probably done actions that are on a badness of maybe for me, I'd say 6, 7, or 8. Even maybe some of them were pretty bad, but when people attack her publicly, they hit her at a 10 or 11. So when you come and you confront her with that, that's always going to be in the back of her mind. This guy's trying to pin me on an 11. I might publicly admit to a 5 or a 6, but it feels like he's going all the way, and that's a conversation that is immediately going to make somebody so defensive that their brain is going to shut. They're going to go into character defense mode. They're not going to make any concessions at all. Especially to a stranger, sometimes maybe to a therapist, but even a therapist has to work really hard to get that level of rapport with a client, you know?
I think there's also there's a thing where if I say, do you think it's irresponsible of you to do something that could result in people drowning, and say that you didn't think about it, or say that you're fine with it but not answer directly, that's heard as me saying, you drowned those innocent people, you monster.
A little bit. The important part there is the end, the you monster part. That's the important part at the end, because nobody sees themselves, unless you're like a sociopath, nobody sees himself as a villain. So when you ask her, she's like, do you think it's possible you could have drowned it? What are the first things that she says? It's like, okay, well, hold on. Everybody does this, right? So the funny thing is that she kind of became the person that you said that she was trying to appeal to earlier in the conversation. Remember earlier in the conversation, you got upset. You both had a hard time getting over this, but you got upset at her because she asked you a clarifying question about how you felt about the age of consent. And
you forwarded me a clarifying question.
The reason why you were upset, you weren't upset because she asked the question, and you weren't upset because you had to answer the question. You were upset because you know that she knows the answer, but she had to feign outrage to win approval, virtue signaling from the audience, right? Yes. In a way, though, when you ask later on, don't you think it was monstrous what you did? Well, now she becomes a character where it's like, okay, hold on. I'm not like an exceptionally horrible, monstrous person, but you're asking me to admit that something that I did is like way outside of the norm of human behavior. And most people won't ever do that. Like even people that murder people will say like, I couldn't. I was abused. I was forced. She was a horrible person. She did this. She cheated on me. She ruined my life, right? Most people will not accept.
Most people are not saying, I want to be a public figure who moralizes to people about how the world should be. And I feel like if you're going to do that, if you're going to say Lauren Southern has returned, you have to answer this.
Yeah, but I mean, you do, but I'm saying that the way that you tease that conversation out, it has to be done It's a really difficult process, is what I'm saying.
I think I have to find a balance because I don't want to be seen as being too nice also to somebody who I think is proselytizing about something that I agree could be a 6 or 7 or 8 and how bad it is. And if I'm like, well, hey, I just want to make sure you're really comfortable. Like maybe you shouldn't be super comfortable with what you did, but if you're going to be a public figure, you have to be comfortable enough about it or find a way to just be direct and have a direct exchange and tell me how bad do you think it was? And
It's
why
possible,
am I wrong?
but you have to understand that like you are taking on like you're ascending from adult to parent child. Like you're having a condescending interaction with a person. Not that condescending is necessarily bad here, because as a parent we would condescend to a child. But you're like, not only are you asking that person to like trust you a lot in that conversation, to give you full control over the conversation, you're also potentially hitting on things that they might have never even actually considered, right? There might be things in their life where they might genuinely think, there have been a couple things in my life where I didn't actually think I did anything really that bad. And then on further reflection, I'm like, actually, damn, that actually was a pretty shitty thing that I did. That was actually a really shitty thing that I did. And if somebody were to confront me with that in the middle of a conversation, I would never be able to do it. For the longest time, I used like the F slur and the N word or whatever, and I didn't think they were big deal words. And whenever somebody would confront me on it, they'd say like, you're homophobic. I'm not homophobic. Fuck you. And when you start the conversation that way, I'm not even going to consider that I might be in the wrong. Because for me to consider I'm wrong would be to say that I'm homophobic. Much the same that when you attack Lauren, I say attack, but when you try to get her to admit that like, okay, like maybe this was a little bit, because you're using words like this was monstrous, or I would feel horrible, right? And she might even personally have not even confronted that yet, you know? Because she said in the conversation when she did that, she was 21, right? Which is a kid.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. I have to go.
Yeah, I understand.